NCFE Learner Toolkit recording is on decoding problem-solving questions. The weightings for all functional skills assessments are 25% for underpinning skills. So this is the ability to do calculations when not as part of a problem. And then 75% of the marks in your functional skills assessment come from problem solving. Which we abbreviate to PS. Now, a good way to approach problem-solving questions is to use rucksack. Read, understand, choose, solve, answer, and check. And we'll take a look at each of those in turn in this recording. We'll use the rucksack steps on this level 2 non-calculator question. The first step, quite straightforward, read. So Jessie is the manager of a shopping centre. She plans to let this unit. She has information about the floor areas of other available units in the shopping centre. Now we've got a table that shows those in metres squared. Jessie thinks that the unit she will let has a floor area that's 12% larger than the median floor area of other available units. Is she correct? Show how you decide. We've read it through once, but now what we need to do is understand what the question is asking us. So for this step, we're going to read it again, but try to understand what the question is asking. Highlighting key words and information can help at this stage. For example, we have key words and numbers. So we know that Jessie is going to let this unit, and we've got a diagram with some measurements around the edge. So that's the floor area, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that up into the rectangle and then subtract away that triangle there. I think that's the easiest, fastest way for me to find that area. So that's the way I'm going to do that. Then what else do I have? So we know about the other available units, and we've got that table, and we need to calculate the median there as well. And the other key information is that what Jessie is thinking, what we need to decide whether she's correct or not, is that she thinks that her unit that we're going to find the area of is 12% larger than the median floor area of other available units. Okay, so I feel like I understand that question now. So I can move on to the choose part of rucksack. This is often the hardest part of solving a problem, determining what strategies you need to use to solve the problem. In this step, we decide how we're going to approach the problem. Now, looking at the number of marks will help us to know how many steps will be needed to solve the problem. So for this problem, there are 5 marks, so I can break it into 5 steps. Firstly, I'm going to calculate the area of her unit, the unit from that diagram. Next, I'm going to find the median of the values in the table. Then I will increase the median by 12%. I'll make a comparison between those areas, and I'll give a final answer of yes or no. In an assessment, I am not going to write down those steps. However, when I am preparing for my assessment, when I'm doing practice, this is actually a really, really good strategy to get me thinking how to approach these problem-solving questions. So as part of my revision and my preparation, I very well may go through past questions or practice questions that I can find, and I will complete the read, understand, and choose parts of the rucksack method without actually moving on to solve, just to get me into the practice, since choosing is the hardest part, choosing what strategy to use. But if I do want to solve this problem, then I'll move on to the next stage, which is solve. So now I'm going to actually try to solve this. Solving it is more straightforward than actually choosing how to go about it. So for this example, first of all, I am going to calculate the area of the large rectangle. So 12 times 7 gives me 84. Then I'm going to look at that purple triangle. So I know that that will be half base times height. I know that the height of the triangle is 5 meters because that's 7 take away 2. And I know the base is 4 meters because that's 12 take away 8. So it's a half times 5 times 4, which gives me 10. And if I do 84 take away 10, that gives me Jessie's unit area, 74 meters square. Now I want to look at the median floor area. So I need to find the median, I need to put the values in order. I can put them either from smallest to largest or from largest to smallest, but given that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 values, the important value that I want to look at for the median is going to be the 5th value. So I only need to write the first 5 values. So I've written those first 5 values there, and that 5th value is 67.6 meters squared. So that's my median. And now what I need to do is increase that by 12%. And because this is a non-calculator question, I'm going to do it by finding 10%, and then finding 1% and then adding those together. So 10% plus 1% plus 1% gives me 12%. And so that leads me to 8.112. And then if I add that on to the median, that gives me the median plus 12%, which is 75.712. Now I've got enough information to answer the actual question. Is Jessie correct? She thinks that the floor area of her unit, which is 74 meters squared, is 12% larger than the median of the other floor units. Is it? No, it's not. 74 is less than 12% more than the median. So is she correct? I can now give my answer. So this is I've done my solving, I've done my calculations. When it comes to the answer, 74 is less than 75.712, and therefore my answer is no. And that's really important that you do not miss out that step of rucksack, the A answer, because there will be a mark, I guarantee it, just for writing no. So if I don't put that yes or no, if I don't make a decision, I will not get the full 5 marks for this question. And then what's the final part of the rucksack method? And the final step is to check. If there's time, I could check over all of my calculations, particularly because it's a non-calculator question. But if there is not enough time, then the very least that I can do is check. Does the answer make sense? Is it reasonable? Does the answer meet the demand of the question shown in the grey box? In this case, it needs a yes/no response. For a 5-mark question, I have 10 minutes in the live assessment. So each mark is, I have 2 minutes per mark. So as it currently stands, because I've given a lot of explanation, then I think I've done about 10 minutes. So I'm not going to have time to check through all of my calculations. But if in a live assessment, if I have answered in less than 10 minutes, then I can use that extra bit of time to check over my calculations, check over the reasonableness, check over the approach that I've taken, just double check that everything looks to be okay before I move on. So that concludes this session on decoding problem-solving questions. I wish you all the best with your functional skills assessments, and when you do go for your first or even subsequent live assessments, always make sure that you bring your rucksack. So use this method for every problem-solving question. Read, understand, choose, solve, answer, and check. Thank you.